Welcome to the Deep Dive, your essential shortcut to being well-informed. This is an episode of the Data Zen AI Podcast, available in multiple languages on all major platforms.
And today we're diving into something that's really starting to blur the lines, between deep technical skill and just having a clear idea.
Yeah, we're talking about vibe coding.
We know you, the listener, are probably looking for ways to get things done faster, maybe build something cool without spending years learning code.
Right, whether you're already a developer wanting to speed up, or maybe a project manager needing a quick prototype, or, someone totally non-technical with a great idea.
This whole idea of building software fast without getting bogged down in complex syntax, it's pretty revolutionary.
And our sources for this deep dive, we've looked at expert papers, developer forums, lots of case studies. They're all buzzing about this vibe coding movement.
It feels less about rigid rules and structure and more about, intuition, conversation maybe, flow.
So let's unpack vibe coding.
Okay, so our mission here really is threefold. First, we got to define this thing. What is vibe coding? And what are the AI tools actually making it possible? Because the tools are key.
Definitely.
Second, we need to look at real examples. Are people actually building things this way? Things that work, things that maybe even make money. We found some interesting micro SaaS stories.
Okay, so practical application. And third, and feels crucial, we need to look at the downsides, the trade-offs.
Exactly. Can intuition and, talking to an AI really replace years of hard-won coding experience? How far can someone without a tech background actually push this?
Yeah, are we sacrificing quality, security, maintainability, all for speed? That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. So let's dive in. All right, let's start with a basic definition, just plain English. What is vibe coding?
Yeah, cut through the hype.
Okay, so basically vibe coding means using natural language, like just typing in plain English to tell a large language model, an LLM, what kind of software you want it to build.
So you're describing the goal, the function.
Exactly. You're focusing on the what and the why.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the step-by-step how of writing the code itself.
Right, which leads to that phrase you hear a lot. The hottest new programming language is English.
That really captures it, yeah. It's about the clarity of your instructions, your prompts, more than knowing the specific syntax of Python or JavaScript or whatever.
And where did this term, this idea, really pick up steam?
Well, it got a big boost from Andrej Karpathy, the former AI director at Tesla. Big name in AI.
Oh, right.
Back in 2025, he talked about this shift, calling it almost necessary. He described it as coding, where you kind of fully give in to the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that the code even exists.
Okay, forget the code exists sounds aspirational, maybe a bit magical. For listeners who know computers need precise instructions, how does that actually work? You can't really forget the code, can you? Don't you still need to understand the basics of how software is built?
That's a really important point. And yeah, it's not actually magic. The shift is more about your role. You stop being the person typing every single line, every semicolon.
And you become more like the director, the conductor.
Exactly. The conductor is a great analogy. The AI becomes this incredibly fast engine that translates your high-level goals into potentially thousands of lines of code. So coding turns into this back-and-forth conversation.
So tools like Claude or ChatGPT or maybe Copilot inside your editor, they're not just fancy autocomplete anymore. They're more like partners in the process.
Precisely. It's interactive. You're not just fixing syntax errors. You're having a dialogue to shape the final product, to refine what you actually want it to do.
So the relationship changes completely.
Right. The best analogy we came across in the sources was thinking of the AI as your junior programmer.
Yeah.
But like a prodigy junior programmer who's amazing at coding, but crucially, has zero leadership skills.
Okay, I get that. Super skilled, but needs to be told exactly what to build.
Exactly. They can take a vague idea and maybe even sketch out a whole technical architecture, but they need super clear objectives. They need constraints. They need you to tell them when they've gone off track. It's not about correcting their code syntax. It's about correcting their direction.
Which means the human's job splits, doesn't it? It sounds less like traditional coding and more like product management. Or creative direction.
That's a perfect way to put it. Let's break that down. You've got the creative director hat.
Okay, what's that involve?
That's the vibe part, maybe, the look and feel. You're telling the AI, okay, I want a dark theme, make the navigation bar kind of frosted glass, and the main button needs to be this specific shade of neon green. You're focused on the user experience, the aesthetics.
Right, the feel. And the other hat.
the product manager hat. This is about function, scope, and constraints. The app needs to handle 1 million users simultaneously, or it must integrate with Stripe for payments. Or, maybe critically, do not log any personally identifiable user data.
So setting the rules, the business logic, the technical requirements.
Exactly. And when you, the human, can clearly articulate both of those roles, the creative vision and the functional requirements, that's when you can get into that vibe or flow state.
Ah, okay. So it's called vibe coding because it feels different. More like exploring, iterating quickly, guided by intuition, rather than slowly, methodically building line by line.
Right, you're sort of sculpting the application through conversation, focusing entirely on the destination, not the intricate path of the code itself.
So I can just say, build me an online store for handmade jewelry, make sure it takes PayPal, and I need a simple way to track inventory.
And the expectation is, yeah, the AI handles translating that into the right tech stack, the necessary code files, maybe even the database setup and basic deployment scripts. The potential leverage is huge.
It really shifts the core skill, doesn't it? From implementation details to high-level design and requirement definition.
That's the fundamental change vibe coding is pushing.
Okay, so if coding becomes this conversation, the tools must be pretty different too, right? You can't just do this in Notepad.
Oh, absolutely not. The tool ecosystem is moving incredibly fast to support this. We can kind of group the key tools into, say, 4 main categories.
All right, what's the first?
First up is pure code generation. These are the big models. Anthropic's Claude often gets mentioned as being particularly strong right now for understanding complex code structures and generating solid code.
And OpenAI's ChatGPT.
ChatGPT seems to excel more in, like, reasoning and handling multimodal inputs, meaning you could give it prompts that include images or maybe data from spreadsheets, and it can work with those too. So slightly different strengths.
Okay, so core AI models. What's next?
Next, you have the specialized environments, the integrated development environments, or IDEs, built for this kind of interaction.
Like code editors.
Yeah, but supercharged with AI. Cursor is probably the most talked about one for vibe coding. It reads the conversational AI right into the coding window, so you're constantly interacting.
Makes sense. Any others?
There's a newer one called Windsurf that takes it a step further. It actually indexes your entire project's code base.
How does that help?
Well, imagine you ask it to fix a bug or add a feature. Instead of just looking at the one file you have open, it understands the context of your whole application. So the suggestions and changes it makes can be much smarter, especially for bigger projects.
Got it. So AI assistants that help you write the code. What else?
Then you have the autonomous builders. These are platforms aiming to take a single big prompt and just build the whole thing. Full stack applications.
Whoa, okay. Examples?
There's Bolt.new. The idea is you give it a detailed description, and it tries to generate everything: the front-end UI the user sees, the back-end server logic, the database connections, the whole package.
Ambitious.
Very. And then there's Lovable, which is maybe more focused on rapid prototyping. It specializes in generating just the front-end, the user interface, often really quickly, sometimes even including basic user login stuff, just from one prompt. Great for testing an idea visually fast.
Okay, generation, IDEs, autonomous builders. What's the final piece? This feels important, especially for non-coders.
Absolutely crucial. Deployment simplicity. Because, having the code is useless if you can't actually get it online for people to use.
Right. The traditional way involves Git, command lines, server configs. It's intimidating.
Exactly. And that's where tools like Uware come in. They're solving that last mile problem. The sources show Uware lets you literally just paste your generated code or upload the finished files like your HTML, CSS, JavaScript bundle.
And then what?
And it instantly hosts it and gives you a live shareable URL, something like mycoolapp.uware.so. Boom. It completely bypasses all that complicated traditional deployment stuff.
That's huge for accessibility. Okay, so let's walk through how someone might actually use these tools. Let's take that simple inventory tracker for the jeweler store example. What's the step-by-step vibe process look like?
Right. Okay. So step one, and this might sound counterintuitive, isn't talking to the AI yet. It's good old-fashioned requirement analysis, meaning you, the human, have to get crystal clear on what you actually need. So for the tracker, okay, I need fields for product name, current stock number, and the supplier's contact info. And critically, I need an alert if stock for any item drops below 5. You define the rules first.
Makes sense. Define the job before you hire the assistant. Step 2.
Step 2 is writing that clear, specific AI prompt. You'd say something like, build me a simple inventory tracker using React for the front end and maybe Node.js for a simple back end. Use a clean, mobile-first design. Include fields for name, stock, supplier. Implement a visual alert when stock hits 5 or less. You specify the tech, the look, the behavior.
The more detail, the better the result, presumably. Less room for the AI to guess wrong.
Exactly. Less AI slop, which we'll get to later. Step 3 is you get the AI-generated code.
Okay, code appears. Done.
Not even close. This is the absolute key step. Testing and refinements. This is not a magic button. You have to run the code, test it. Did that alert actually work when stock hit 5?
Yeah.
Can I actually save new items?
And then you go back to the AI.
Yes. You iterate. You say, okay, this is pretty good, but can we add a dark mode option? And make sure that low stock alert is bright red and really obvious. You keep refining through conversation.
So your job shifts completely from fixing typos in the code to shaping the idea, demanding better quality.
Precisely. You're the quality control. You're pushing for better UX, more robust features. The AI is just the incredibly fast implementer of your instructions. You're focused on shaping ideas and refining requirements.
And then for the non-developer, that final step, deployment.
Yeah, that barrier just drops. Instead of wrestling with Git and servers, you take your refined code files, upload them to something like UWare, and bam, it's live. It makes the whole journey from idea to code to a shareable app incredibly fast, potentially just minutes.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory. Fast iteration, easy deployment. But is it just for simple things like to-do lists or basic websites? Or are people building real commercial stuff with this?
That's the exciting part. The speed isn't just for toys. It's enabling people to build functional prototypes, minimum viable products, MVPs, incredibly quickly. We're talking potentially going from an idea to something testable in like 20 minutes somehow.
20 minutes? Seriously?
Yeah, for simple concepts. It means you can test ideas with real users almost immediately, validating whether something is worth pursuing without spending months building it the old way.
Okay, I want to hear about that developer you mentioned earlier, the one who built the podcast analytics platform. That sounded complex.
Right, so this person had a big CSV file, loads of data, download counts, listener retention, where people were listening from, all that stuff. They wanted a dashboard to visualize it all.
What did they do?
They fired up VS Code, their code editor, which had GitHub Copilot integrated. But crucially, they configured Copilot to use Anthropic's Claude Sonnet 4.5 model in the background. Remember, Claude is often cited as being good with code.
Okay, so a powerful setup. And the prompt?
Pretty high level. Something like, in this attached CSV file is all our podcast data. Create a beautiful website that helps visualize this, lets me search it, find topics, and more. Really outcome focused.
And the AI just built it.
Amazingly, yeah. It didn't just spit out basic HTML. It decided on a full modern tech stack. React for the interactive parts, TypeScript for better code safety, Tailwind CSS for quick styling, and even the recharts library for making the graphs.
Wait, it chose all that itself without being asked specifically for React or TypeScript.
That's the vibe part.
Right.
It inferred what a beautiful modern website for data visualization would likely need and just went for it. The first working version was apparently up in about 5 minutes.
Wow.
Then maybe another 10 minutes of chatting with the AI to tweak the chart colors, refine the layout, that conversational refinement we talked about. Incredible leverage. The human provided the goal and the data. The AI handled the implementation details.
That's a powerful example for developers. What about non-developers building businesses? Microsauce, you mentioned.
Definitely. Let's talk about Pashu Chara. This is an AI tool specifically for dairy farmers in India to help manage their cattle. Super niche.
Okay, what does it do? How is it built?
It's a great case study in focusing on the problem, not perfect code. The creator used vibe coding tools, focusing on clear prompts to define the features, letting farmers input data about each cow, track health stuff, get suggestions on feed. Under the hood, it used Node.js Express for the server, Supabase, which is like a modern, easier database backend, and Stripe for handling payments.
And did it work commercially?
Yeah, the creator even admitted the UI, the user interface, was not a masterpiece. But it solved a real problem for farmers. It was simple to use, and this is key. It was in Hindi, their local language. It hit $3,700 a month in revenue pretty quickly after launching.
So functionality and market fit beat pixel-perfect design in this case.
Absolutely. It shows the value isn't just code quality. It's understanding a specific need deeply. Another example, things.in.
What's that?
Super simple idea. It's a travel guide. But instead of fancy reviews, it just lists places, restaurants, attractions, based on how many Google reviews they have. More reviews means it's probably more popular or noteworthy.
Huh, okay. Simple heuristic.
Dead simple. Build fast using these methods. How does it make money? Affiliate links. If you click through to book a hotel or tour from their site, they get a cut. The creator apparently launches lots of these small, focused tools. Play the volume game.
Interesting. Solve one small problem, well, launch, see what sticks.
Exactly. And one more quick one.
Huh?
Fido's AI prompt generator, built under a week, reportedly using Claude and the Cursor IDE. It just helps people write better prompts for other AIs.
Meta.
Right.
Yeah.
But useful. And it makes over $1,000 a month just from ad revenue. Simple tools, specific problem, fast build, quick monetization.
These really highlight the potential for non-technical folks like the project managers or analysts listening.
For sure. Prototyping ideas gets way easier. Need a quick portfolio site concept? Maybe try Lovable. Got to sketch up an app screen on a napkin. Maybe Uware's multimodal input can turn that into basic HTML, CSS to show people.
And what about automating tasks, business processes?
Big potential there. Tools like Zapier agents are moving into this space. You can describe a workflow in plain English. Imagine telling it, build me an agent that reads resumes from this folder, compares them against this job description PDF, gives each a score out of 10 based on keywords, and puts the top 3 candidates' names and scores in this Google Sheet.
Whoa, that used to require serious scripting or integration work.
And now it's becoming a conversation. The AI handles the logic, the connections between apps, the APIs, game-changing for business users.
And you mentioned AI wrappers, like build that idea.
Yeah, that's another interesting angle. Platforms like that let you use prompts to create your own little specialized AI tools, often by wrapping one of the big foundational models like GPT-4. You define a specific task, package it up, maybe even charge people to use your specialized AI agent.
So you're not building the core AI, but you're building a useful application layer on top of it just through prompts.
Exactly. Again, the value shifts to understanding a need and defining the solution clearly. Less about the deep engineering underneath. Okay, those success stories are really compelling. Speed, new possibilities. But we have to pump the brakes a bit and talk about the other side of the coin. The risks, the limitations.
Right. It can't all be smooth sailing. What's the biggest pitfall?
Probably the issue often called AI slop.
AI slop sounds messy.
It is. It refers to that low-quality, generic, often buggy or nonsensical stuff, whether it's text, images, or, in our case, software code that AI generates when it's confused, or, more often, when the instructions it got were just too vague.
So garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Pretty much. Sources we looked at were quite clear. Vibe coding often fails if your prompts are half-baked, missing crucial details, or just generally unclear about the desired outcome. The AI is forced to guess, and it often guesses wrong. One study suggested that this happens, quote, more than 50% of the time.
More than half the time. That's not great odds.
It means if you just say, build me a task management app, you're likely to get something generic, probably insecure, maybe barely functional, just slop.
Okay, so prompt clarity is absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
What else? This brings us to that 70-30 rule you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. The 70-30 rule. It's this recurring theme in AI-assisted development. The AI is fantastic at getting you, let's say, 70% of the way there.
What's in that 70%?
All the common stuff. Setting up the basic project structure, writing boilerplate code like login forms, creating standard UI components, maybe basic database interactions. The routine, predictable parts.
But that leaves a critical 30%.
A very critical 30%. This is where you need human expertise, human judgment. This last 30% includes things like handling tricky edge cases. What if the internet drops mid-payment? It includes ensuring you meet specific industry regulations like GDPR for privacy or high pay for health data, which the AI probably doesn't know about unless you tell it explicitly.
And maybe integrating with unusual or older systems, things not in the AI's main training data.
Exactly. Complex business logic that's unique to your company. That stuff requires a human who understands the nuances.
And this 30% gap is where the real quality and security risks live, right?
Absolutely. AI-generated code, even if it looks right, can hide subtle logical errors. Because the human developer didn't write it themselves, they might not have the same mental model of how it's supposed to work, making those bugs harder to spot during review.
And performance. Does the AI write fast code?
Not necessarily. AI tends to optimize for correctness based on the prompt, not necessarily for efficiency. So you can end up with code that works, but it might be incredibly slow, chew up way too much memory, or make tons of unnecessary network requests. It creates performance bottlenecks that might only show up when you try to scale the application.
Okay, logical errors, performance issues, and the big one, security.
Yeah, this is a major concern. AIs aren't trained to think like hackers. They don't have an adversarial mindset. They don't automatically think, how could someone misuse this feature I'm building?
So they might just generate code that, while functional, leaves gaping holes.
Precisely. They might accidentally create SQL injection vulnerabilities or implement authentication poorly, leaving user data exposed. We're already seeing security companies offering workshops specifically on how to find and fix vulnerabilities introduced by AI coding assistants. It's a new class of risk.
You mentioned a story about hidden costs, too, something about an autosave feature.
Ah, yeah, this was a stark example from the sources. A developer used an AI, likely Claude in this case, with vibe coding methods to add an autosave feature to their web app. Simple request, right? Implement autosave.
Seems straightforward. What went wrong?
The AI delivered code that worked perfectly, functionally. It saved the user's data automatically. The problem was how it did it.
Oh.
On closer human review, they discovered the AI solution was writing the data to the backend database every 15 seconds, continuously, whether the user had actually changed anything or not.
Okay. Maybe not ideal, but does it matter that much?
If you're running a tiny app, maybe not. But this app was running in a scaled cloud environment like AWS or Azure with potentially thousands of users. Those constant unnecessary database writes, multiplied by thousands of users, turned into a massive unexpected bill from the cloud provider for all of the data operations.
Wow. A huge financial liability hidden inside perfectly functional code because the AI lacked context about cost optimization.
Exactly. It solved the functional request, but missed the critical non-functional requirement of don't bankrupt the company.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear. Vibe coding isn't magic, and it doesn't remove the need for skilled oversight.
Not at all. It actually demands more from the human in terms of defining the problem rigorously. Success requires a validated idea, yes, but also incredibly detailed outcome-focused prompts that include constraints. You have to tell the AI things like minimize database rights or ensure this conforms to GDPR.
The human's job becomes
Yeah.
define the goal, provide the data, critically evaluate the output, spotting those logical performance, security, or cost issues, and only then ship it. You still own the quality.
You absolutely have to own the quality and be able to recognize when the AI's output, that 70%, isn't good enough or is actively harmful. You need to bridge that 30% gap.
Okay, so with all this talk about natural language prompts and simplifying development, it begs the question, is vibe coding just the next step for no-code platforms? Are they basically the same thing now?
It's a good question, and they're definitely related, but there's a key difference in philosophy, I think.
How so?
Traditional no-code platforms, the drag-and-drop builders, they rely on giving you pre-built visual components and logic blocks. You're essentially assembling a solution from a fixed set of pieces.
Right, like Lego bricks.
Exactly. Vibe coding, on the other hand, is about generating the underlying code itself from scratch based on your conversational prompts. It's not assembling pre-made blocks. It's creating the raw materials, the code structure based on your instructions.
Ah, okay. So vibe coding potentially offers more flexibility because it's actually writing unique code, whereas no code is limited by the available blocks.
Generally, yes. Vibe coding can, in theory, build almost anything you could describe clearly enough. But that flexibility comes with the need for much greater clarity in your prompts compared to just dragging blocks around in a no-code tool.
Got it. So related but distinct. Now, for listeners trying to figure out where to start, maybe project managers, analysts, even developers exploring this, how do these different platforms we've mentioned actually stack up? What's the best tool for the job?
Okay, let's compare a few based on their sweet spots. If your absolute priority is raw speed, getting a visual prototype or a simple microsite up instantly,
Duplicate.
you'd look at tools like Lovable or UWare. They excel at that super fast generation, taking an idea to a live URL in potentially just minutes. Amazing for validating a concept quickly.
But there has to be a catch, right? What's the limitation?
Control. You generally have less fine-grained control over the exact layout, the styling, and especially the advanced features. You're probably not going to build a complex online store with multiple payment gateways using these purely autonomous builders. They lack that deep integration capability.
Okay, so speed demons, but limited complexity. What if you do need more control? Maybe you're a developer who still wants to tinker with the code.
Then you'd likely lean towards something like Replit. It's very much designed with developers or tech-savvy users in mind. It gives you a full coding environment in the browser, powerful AI assistance for debugging and generation, but it expects you to be comfortable working directly with code files, maybe using the command line.
So steeper learning curve, but more power and control, suitable for building real complex web apps.
Exactly. Great for complex projects or unique experiments where you need that deeper access.
What about something in the middle? Maybe for a small business that just needs a decent website launched easily.
Hosting or Horizons fits that niche pretty well, based on the sources.
Yeah.
It focuses on generating AI drafts quickly, but its main selling point is the tight integration with hosting, getting an SSL certificate, and connecting a domain name. It makes the launch part really smooth.
Easy launch. What are the downsides there?
Similar to the pure autonomous builders, maybe fewer options for really deep customization or integrating with lots of third-party services compared to more mature platforms. It serves that get me online fast and easily market very well.
Okay, so we have speed focus, developer focus, easy launch focus. What about flexibility and maybe long-term growth? Building something more professional or scalable.
This is where the combination of Seed Prod and WordPress comes up frequently as a strong recommendation.
WordPress. Interesting. How does that fit with AI vibe coding?
Seed Prod acts as an AI-powered website builder within the WordPress ecosystem. So you get the AI speed for drafting, you can use conversational prompts to get a starting point, but then you leverage the massive power and flexibility of WordPress itself.
Meaning you can customize it more.
Exactly. After the AI gives you the initial draft, you have full drag-and-drop control within CProd to tweak everything visually. But more importantly, you tap into the huge WordPress plugin ecosystem.
So if you need serious features later on.
Right. Need complex appointment booking? There's a mature plugin like WP Forms. Need a full-blown online store? Add WooCommerce, the standard for WordPress e-commerce. Need sophisticated SEO tools for growth? Those are built in or easily added.
So it's like getting the AI speed up front, but with the safety net and scalability of a proven massive platform underneath.
That's the idea. It blends the vibe speed for drafting with the robust, customizable, and integration-rich environment of WordPress for building professional, long-lasting websites or applications. #TagTag77. Outro, recap, and final thought. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground exploring this vibe coding phenomenon. Let's quickly recap the big takeaways.
Yeah, let's boil it down. First big point.
First, it really feels like vibe coding is lowering the barrier to entry. It's starting to democratize development. The key skill is shifting, isn't it? Less about remembering exact syntax.
And more about clearly articulating what you want, defining the outcome. Prompt clarity is king. If you have a clear vision, you might actually be able to build it now, or at least prototype it.
That's exactly. Second big point. Yep. The leverage is undeniable. The speed for prototyping, for building those microsauce examples we talked about. It's incredible. It dramatically shrinks the time from idea to having something real, maybe even something generating revenue. That's huge for everyone, from solo founders to big companies.
Right. Massive speed advantage. But the third point is the flip side, the caution.
Yes. Vigilance is absolutely key. You have to be rigorous about your prompts to avoid that AI slop. You need to be aware of the potential for logical errors, security holes, performance issues, and those hidden costs, like the database example.
You still own the final product. The human oversight, that last 30%, is critical for quality, security, and even financial viability. Clarity and critical review are paramount.
Couldn't say it better. Yeah. So that brings us to our final thought, something for you to chew on after this deep dive.
Go for it.
If AI gets really good at the implementation part, writing the code, picking the libraries, handling of the basic architecture, does the traditional role of a software developer start to fundamentally change? Does it merge more with the roles of, say, a tester, a security analyst, a product manager?
If AI writes the code, but the human has to provide the perfect vision, the perfect constraints, the perfect testing plan, what skills become most valuable? Is it less about coding fluency and more about critical thinking, systems thinking, cost awareness, maybe even that adversarial mindset for security?
It feels like the future of building might require even more rigor and clarity from the human, not less, just focused at a different level. Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. Well, thank you for diving deep with us today.
Our pleasure.
Remember to subscribe to the Data Zen AI Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, so you don't miss our next deep dive.
And yeah, we genuinely love to hear your thoughts. Any feedback or ideas for other AI topics you want us to tackle? Let us know.
And as always, you can find more from the Data Zen community articles, info on meetups, interviews over at datazen.top.
Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.